This is Julian David. At 19 years old, he's New Zealand's fastest speed climber. He's only been competing internationally for 2 years, but he's already closing the gap on his global competitors. At the time of filming, the world record for men's speed climbing was 4.79 seconds. In March 2024, Julian got his personal best down to 5.6 seconds.
Speed climbing is a sport of millimeters. Your foot can miss the point of a hold and hit it 20 mils to the wrong side and basically the run's over for you, you know.
Julian is completing a lightning-fast practice run at the IFSC World Cup in Chamonix, France, before the main event of the day, the qualifiers.
Sometimes I'll be quite nervous heading into a competition just because, you know, it's a World Cup. You know, it's our biggest event aside from the Olympics.
The wall in Chamonix is always quite a tricky wall to race on. A lot of guys slip or fall, and this does create opportunities if you can put together a really good run, especially at the moment with a lot of pressure on the athletes for the Olympics.
He's very passionate, very driven, very, very talented. He's just shot to the top over just a couple of years.
The numbers we're seeing, the strength, characteristics and power is just pretty phenomenal.
Sometimes he's very frustrating because he's so good.
Like a year ago, I was only national champion. I try not to think about it too much because it's bad for ego.
At his current personal best time, Julian is climbing the 4.5-story wall in the same amount of time it takes Usain Bolt to run about 60 meters.
Like the margin of error when you're going that fast, it's too easy to slip to call. Like it's pretty impossible to bet on somebody to win.
We always say anything can happen in speed.
So in a sport like speed climbing, where every millisecond counts and even the best laid plans can be derailed in an instant, how do elite athletes improve their odds of winning?
I'm training twice a day, every day apart from Saturday and Sunday. I'm actually the one that is known for not stretching as much as they should. So it's a bit boring, but you have to do it. It's something I need to get used to and do more of, is stretch, to be honest. So today we're focusing on, we're doing 12 runs at 90%. Basically consistency is the whole point of, you know, in competition is who is the most consistent on the day. So me doing 12 runs at 90%, we would never do that in competition. We won't run that much. Focusing on not slipping and still maintaining, you know, going as fast as we can. So I've got this little competition, you may have heard of it, it's called the Olympics.
2024 marks the very first time speed climbing is being judged as a standalone event in the Olympics. It made an appearance in the 2020 Olympics, but only in combination with the other disciplines of sport climbing. We filmed with Julian and his teammate Sarah Tetzlaff just a few short months before they headed to Paris to make history for New Zealand.
A lot of planning and preparation and repetition of the moves goes onto the training, and you know, to the point where it just gets a bit boring, this repetition that we do. We've got our climbing wall set up here. We've had this set up since 2019. I built it in association with the club for the Olympic qualifying event before the Tokyo event. We finished it at probably around about 4 minutes before the event started.
Me and Sarah are the first speed climbers qualified from New Zealand to go to climbing, and speed climbing specifically, so yeah, pretty stoked.
Me and Julian have been training together for maybe 4 years now, but full-time together for just over 2 years.
We're gonna race.
So what does that mean?
Both of us are gonna sprint up the wall, and the first one to get to the top gets bragging rights for the rest of the day. Is that how it goes?
Yeah, you're just the better person. Superior, if you will.
So Sarah, how do you feel about this race?
Oh, I feel pretty good about this race. Yep, feeling confident, cool, calm, collected.
I'm really nervous because if she beats me, I'm screwed.
If you look at Julian and Sarah together, you know, Sarah is this perfectionist athlete that likes to analyse things a lot, whereas Julian doesn't like the analysis so much.
Speed climbing is a discipline of sport climbing where athletes compete for the fastest time. Officially regulated walls are 15 meters high with a continuous overhang of 5 degrees. It takes an experienced climber about 30 seconds to reach the top. while speed climbers do it in less than 10 seconds. Unlike other types of climbing, where climbers seek the path of least resistance, speed climbers look for the most direct route to the top. The speed route has been the same for more than a decade, and climbers practice it year-round to ingrain in their minds and muscles the sequence of movements that gets them to the top as fast as possible.
So the holds and the wall remain exactly the same, but each person that's racing on the wall does this slightly differently, finding out their individual, we call it beta, finding out what beta works best for them.
Beta is essentially a strategy for scaling a climb. Different climbers use different beta to play to their strengths.
The beta is the way that an athlete climbs the climb, and this changes from each athlete. It's based on whether you are really powerful, or whether you're more dynamic, or whether you're an elastic athlete versus a strength athlete, you know, and so every athlete has slightly different beta.
In speed climbing, performance depends on how quickly you can use your energy. Humans are capable of large bursts of power over short intervals, but that energy can deplete quickly. And you're also battling gravity.
You want to think about it as less as possible. You got another run to do. In training, it's more just focusing on what was good on the wall. So for this one, for example, that's not my fastest time at all, but I did really well at the top section, the end bit. Despite not having as good a start, I recovered well. So
when Julian started speed climbing in 2022, his personal best was 8.71 seconds. A year later, he won gold at the 2023 Youth World Championships for speed climbing. And just 3 months later, he qualified for the Olympics at the IFSC Sport Climbing Oceania Qualifier in Melbourne, with a winning time of 6.77 seconds. Julian has made huge strides in 2 short years, but he still has room to grow if he wants to rival the best speed climbers in the world. At the 2024 IFSC Speed Qualifications in China, Sam Watson on Team USA set a new world record, 4.79 seconds. That put Julian within a second of the fastest speed climber in the world, 0.81 seconds to be exact.
He's still young, he's still developing as an athlete, and he's learning a lot on the way.
think about me, like my life, a 19-year-old going to the Olympics, is pretty, you know, it's hard to wrap my head around really. It's just such a hyped up thing, you know, it's the pinnacle of my sport. I was at school last year and all these kids coming up to me, like they almost put me on a pedestal and be like, oh, I think you're so cool, like what you're doing is awesome. But it's weird because I'm the same age as them, you know, but they're all, I don't know, partying and whatever. They look at me and think I'm lame for not partying, but then I'm doing this. I've tried doing what I do with other sports, and I just couldn't, I didn't like it. Like getting up early, I'd be like, nah man, I want to stay in bed. But for climbing, you know, I'm excited, I want to get up and get on with the day, get climbing, you know.
So what happened there?
You didn't get that, did you?
Sorry, what?
You didn't get that?
Well, yeah, can you explain what happened?
I drive by down the hold. I don't know why. Misplaced hands, maybe.
That's embarrassing.
It's really embarrassing, yeah. It's probably the worst thing that can happen to you, actually. Apart from false starting. Would you rather false start or do that?
Do you have any advice for him? Because that show is...
Oh, well, I gave him good advice beforehand. I said he needs to stick it. And then that happened. So I don't think my advice worked.
I need some more motivation or some more advice. Come on, give me something.
That's all I have.
Ned, got some motivation. Give me some advice not to do what I did. Motivation. Yeah, go that way. So this is my bedroom. I got up here all the photos from when I won Youth Worlds. I've got the medal here from the IFSC. All of these are from nationals. As you can see, I've still got a bit of room for medals, and whatever I do manage to win, I've already got a little token here. I'll add it to the board. Got some room still. I'm gonna go to IFSC Melbourne. I think it was live streamed here. Speed finals, there we go, that's us. At this point here, usually you'd be quite nervous, but I'm just in the zone, you know. Another race, good start, flowing through. So if you saw there, Hayden, he slipped. And in my mind, because you can tell in your peripheral vision, I thought he'd fallen off the wall completely. I saw he stopped, I thought he'd fallen off the wall completely, and I just stopped to celebrate. There was no bad intention, I wasn't trying to, it was just the emotion that got to me. something I'll never do again.
His qualification was a little bit of a controversial race. He stopped right before the stop pad and celebrated a little early. And the other runner was coming up on the wall pretty fast, so it was a bit of a hard in the mouth moment.
But yeah, nothing mean towards Hayden. You know, the guy's awesome. He's a strong competitor, and I'm proud to be racing, you know, in Oceania with him. And for everyone wondering, I do regret that. You know, I do wish I hadn't done that, but you know, 2 years of training to realise, you know, you got to start the Olympics. Yeah, never to happen again though.
We do 6 or 7 sessions a week on the wall, and then strength and conditioning work 3 times a week.
Speed climbers build power in their legs so they can explode from foothold to foothold. Pushing off and carrying momentum up the entire route is crucial.
Sometimes I have to push them a bit harder in training than I'd like to. So they do trap bar deadlift, maximum weight, and an isometric hold.
How much weight is that?
Body weight, 70 kgs.
And then they do an iso hold on a weighted pull-up, and then they run on the wall straight away.
Power is a key part of climbing, so this part of training is about strengthening Julian's leg muscles and reflexes.
So the idea is, of this exercise, we drain our legs and our arms because they're the biggest muscles in our bodies, and we basically fatigue ourselves, go straight on the wall, and force you to use other smaller muscles to fire better. Yeah, it feels really hard to move, like I'm trying really hard but not moving that fast. Yeah.
So how many times can you do it in one day before you're too exhausted?
Oh, I think of this session, maybe like 10 and I'd be pretty.
At the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, all 3 disciplines of climbing were eligible for 1 medal, a decision that caused some controversy.
Some of the most significant misconceptions about speed climbing, and it's a real funny one, is that speed climbing is not real climbing. Like, hello, you're climbing up a wall. I think that the evolution of the sport of climbing has made speed climbing way more fun. I've been coaching climbing in New Zealand for nearly 30 years, and I can teach technical climbing on a bouldering or a lead wall, but speed climbing has been something that I've been in as long as the athletes, you know. We've only been going really 3 years in speed climbing. Everybody does this monotonous thing over and over again, and it's important for everyone to be able to suffer together, you know, but to create an environment where everyone can enjoy that process, because it is hard, it is tough, and it is repetitive.
Now, with weeks of advanced training under his belt, Julian's about to put his progress to the test at one of his last major events before the Paris Games.
We started with 2 practice runs, which went according to plan. They're pretty much the practice runs are just trying to get a good solid run in, getting a feel for the wall, seeing what the texture is like. The wall changes a little bit when the sun's on it and when the sun's not there.
Each athlete is allowed 2 practice runs to familiarize themselves with the wall. That seems like a decent amount until you realize that if each climber takes 6 seconds to get up the wall, it's a 12-second practice session. And that's not the only challenge. The wall here in Chamonix, France, is infamous for one special quirk.
The walls have a friction coefficient that's measured on them to be homologated for a World Cup or for a world record, and Chamonix has the bottom end of the scale for the friction that's on the wall. So it is quite a slippery wall, so your runs have to be pretty much perfect to be able to get up the wall at a good speed. It rewards good runs.
A good run consists of climbers maintaining a good rhythm up the wall. Losing momentum could mean the end of your climb.
If you fall off on the wall, you can only pull yourself back on if you're on the hold that you've fallen off on. You can't fall off completely and swing down and grab hold of another hold and then start climbing again. This is pretty exciting because you see in races, in the finals especially, when the pressure's on and there's people slipping, someone might slip down low and catch themselves and pull back onto the wall and keep going, and then the next person on the other lane could slip up higher and then they fall off, and then they're back together racing again. We have a little piece at the top where his hips need to be in the right position and his foot needs to be across a little, and in the practice runs His hip and foot were not in the right position, so just a little reminder to get him to switch back into the mode that he knew what he was supposed to do.
The stakes are high for Julian as he carries his Youth World Championship title into the World Cup. The pressure is on, and the climb that decides if he gets a coveted spot in the finals is quickly approaching.
I think it'll be my 6th World Cup, so definitely still new and going for that final spot, so we're all happy when it happens.
Once the climbers are behind the wall and they're in the starting lane, you know, I sort of let go of everything. I've done as much as I can, and you know, I have to trust that the athletes will take over and do everything from there.
So in qualification, it doesn't matter if you win your race against the person next to you. You just try to get as fast as you can. So basically, the first run, you know, had a real good focus. I was listening to my music that gets me in the zone. I actually into this point where, you know, we call it flow state. I don't remember the climb. I don't really, you know, remember walking out. It just kind of happens. Usually with the first run you take it a little bit chill, so you just get a good run in, and that saves you for the next run. You can go, you know, cat out of the bag, full beans, go as fast as you like. Yeah, but sometimes it doesn't go to plan. And the second one was much the same, except I slipped at the very end, which is a bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. Yeah, so I didn't qualify for finals, unfortunately. It was 5.36 to make it to finals, and I got 5.44, so close. And my second run was quicker in my second qualification run, but I slipped at the very end and got 5.5, so I'm still happy that I managed to get a quick time. But I think next time in Briançon, I'll make finals, hopefully. Yeah, with a good time.
Today's competition is a stark reminder that in speed climbing, even the most skilled athletes can face unexpected challenges. It's a testament to the unforgiving nature of the sport, where the outcome isn't always decided by who's the best, but by a split-second twist of fate.
Julian ran 5.44 as his fastest time in qualification today. It was his best competition run that he's done ever, and he broke the New Zealand record and the Oceania record, so we're pretty happy.
What's happening in a month?
Wow, Julian is off to the Olympics.
Are you going as well?
We are absolutely going, wouldn't miss it for the world, yeah.
Yeah. What an honour, and at least, you know, for myself, a feeling of immense gratitude for the opportunity and what it represents.
The Briançon will be the last competition before the Olympics, and then I'll have, you know, maybe a couple of weeks of training before I head into the village.
Just a week before the start of the Paris Games, Julian set a new continental and personal best record, 5.26 seconds, narrowing his gap from 0.81 seconds to just 0.48 seconds, behind Samuel Watson's world record of 4.79 seconds.
19 going to the Olympics is pretty outrageous. I remember watching it back in 2012, the London Olympics, and thinking, wow, I want to go to that. And now I have the opportunity to.
I've got some secret hopes that are my own, but realistically we are just trying to do the best we can do and get close to running PBs, which will be a win for us.
I think the motivation side of it, I guess, is the fact that I'm, you know, maybe the first Kiwi to do this. I'm paving the way for the future generation. We're looking quite strong. They'll be freaking amazing. I can't wait for them to come. And I think in itself that's quite motivating, you know, being the first one to do it.